There is a photograph on the internet that looks like it should not exist. A family is sitting around a dinner table. Two children are surrounded by adults. The room looks ordinary. The photograph itself looks old, damaged, almost forgotten. But above the family, something appears to be falling from the ceiling. It looks like a human body, head first, arms stretched downward. Its face is barely visible. And because the figure seems to be suspended in midair, the photograph became known as one of the strangest ghost pictures ever found. For years, people were told a simple story. A family had moved into an old house. They gathered around the dining table and took a photograph. When the picture was developed, something terrifying appeared in the frame. Nobody remembered seeing the figure when the photograph was taken. The implication was obvious. Perhaps the house was haunted. Perhaps the figure was a dead former resident. Perhaps the camera had captured something the human eye couldn't see. The photograph spread across paranormal websites, mystery forums, and lists of supposedly unexplained ghost pictures. But there was a problem. Almost everything people knew about the story was wrong. And the person who eventually revealed the truth wasn't a paranormal investigator. He was the artist who created the photograph. His name was Richard G. Ramsdell. And the real story begins not in a haunted Texas house, but in an art studio. The photograph. The image eventually became known online as the Cooper family falling body photograph. The usual version of the story claimed that it had been taken sometime around the late 1950s. Some versions said the family had recently moved into a house in Texas. Others added even darker details. But there was very little reliable evidence behind any of it. No original newspaper report. No verified police record. No contemporary investigation. No documented family account. For years, however, the story continued to circulate because the photograph itself looked convincing. And that is what made the mystery so powerful. The family photograph appeared genuine. The people looked real. The room looked real. The strange figure looked as though it had actually been captured by an old camera. There was no obvious digital editing, and the photograph appeared to have the visual imperfections people associate with old film. So viewers were left with an uncomfortable question. If this was fake, how was it made? Then someone found the family. The first major crack in the story appeared when a man named Robert Copper came forward. He claimed he was one of the boys in the photograph. That was already remarkable. But he had something even more important to say. The family name was not Cooper. It was Copper. And yes, the photograph of the family was real, but the famous story surrounding it was not. According to Copper, the family photograph dated back to 1959. It was simply an ordinary family picture. There was no mysterious falling body, no ghost, no haunted house incident. The supernatural story had been added later. Investigators compared other photographs from the family and found matching details in the room, including curtains, tablecloth patterns, candlesticks, and other objects. The family had apparently been real. The photograph had apparently been real, but the ghost wasn't. That created an even bigger mystery. Who had put the figure into the photograph, and why? The internet made the story worse. The photograph's manipulated form appears to have circulated online by at least 2009. One of the earliest known online appearances was a post titled "Family Gathering." By then, the photograph had already been separated from its original context. And once that happened, people filled in the blanks. The family became the Cooper family. The photograph supposedly became evidence of a haunting. The falling figure became a dead person. And the unknown history of the image became part of the mystery. This is how internet folklore often works. A photograph appears without context. Someone invents an explanation. Someone else repeats it. Another website adds another detail. Soon, the invented details become part of the accepted story. But this particular photograph had something unusual waiting in the shadows. Its creator was still alive. See, the man behind the ghost. Richard G. Ramsdell eventually explained that the image was not a paranormal photograph at all. Then someone supplied a fictional explanation. The image began circulating. And because nobody knew where it came from, the story became believable. By the time people started investigating it seriously, the legend was already established. There was even a later online discussion in which someone claiming to be Robert Copper initially appeared to confirm parts of the mystery. But eventually, Ramsdell himself revealed that he was behind that online identity as well, describing it as part of the strange life the story had taken on. In other words, the mystery had developed layers. There was the original family photograph. There was the artwork created in 1981. There was the fictional ghost story. There were people investigating the photograph. And eventually, there was the artist watching the entire mystery grow around something he had created decades earlier. CAF, the final twist. Think about what makes a ghost photograph convincing. It usually needs three things: an unexplained image, a believable backstory, and nobody who can prove otherwise. This photograph had the first two, but eventually, it lost the third. The image was real. The family was real. The strange figure was real, but the interpretation was wrong. The ghost wasn't a dead person captured by a camera. It was Richard Ramsdell. The haunted house story wasn't a documented historical event. It was folklore. Was the strange falling figure actually present when the original family photograph was taken? No credible evidence supports that. Was it an unexplained ghost captured by a camera? No. The work is attributed to Richard G. Ramsdell and dates to 1981. Ramsdell says he created the image himself using a projection technique, and he has publicly displayed the original prints. The famous story about a family discovering a dead figure in their photograph came later. And that may be the real mystery. Not how a ghost entered the photograph, but how a photograph entered the mythology of the internet. Because once people see an image that looks impossible, they don't just ask what they're seeing. They ask for a story. And if nobody knows the real story, someone will eventually create one. The Cooper family photograph is a perfect example. A real family, a real photograph, a real artist, a very clever photographic technique, and a completely different story that spread around the world. So the next time you see a photograph described as unexplained, there may be a better question to ask before believing the story. Not, what ghost is hiding in this picture? But, who wanted us to believe there was a ghost there in the first place?